When I think of Volkswagen camper vans, my mind is immediately filled with thoughts of 1960s California and surfers camping on the beach in two-tone VWs. It comes as no surprise that Volkswagen's most recent version of the camper van is named after the Golden State. What might come as a surprise is the fact that the California, which is celebrating its 30th year of production this year, has never been available in North America. Until now. But not really. Sorry, camper van fans. This van was shipped here from Europe by VW, and we're driving it around Southern California to celebrate its 30th anniversary. No one buys a camper van for the driving experience. They buy it for the traveling experience and the sleeping experience. This camper van is a lot like the one we reviewed in Iceland, once the roof is raised. That one was an unreliable Renault Traffic that had been converted into a camper. Provided that this one doesn't break down, this California is miles ahead of that vehicle. The two beds in this car sleep two people pretty comfortably. At 5'7", it's not difficult for me to be comfortable, but my producer Alex, who has been stuck with the bottom fold-out bunk, is 6'4", and there has been more than ample room. So let's talk about transmissions. Normally, I'm all about manual gearboxes. They're more fun to drive in my opinion, and they offer more control than their automatic counterparts. This VW California is one of the exceptions. If you get a California Beach, you can only get the diesel in automatic. The diesel gets 42.2 miles per gallon versus the gas-powered manual's 29.7. That's 10.5 miles per gallon better. That is huge, especially in a car that a lot of people take on longer road trips. That's like the purpose of having a camper van. With the California Ocean, you get a few more options, but the automatic still comes out on top with 41.5 miles per gallon in the diesel version versus 39.2 in the manual version. There's a time and place for manual transmissions, and for me, this isn't a vehicle that I would waste the fuel economy on just so I can get a manual gearbox. The California handles better than you'd expect. Compared to the Renault Traffic camper van we reviewed in Iceland, this thing feels like a sports car. That thing was a lot taller and was blown around a lot by the wind, but it also just felt really long and almost bus-like. This thing drives like a giant Golf, and while it doesn't have like a ton of power, you can still put it into sport mode and get feedback that you wouldn't expect out of a camper van. So let's get down to price. And in Europe, it costs roughly 55,000 euro. People here would much rather spend their money on a ginormous RV that is basically the size of a second home than to buy a diesel California. It's just not big enough. And that's a huge disappointment. I could definitely see myself driving around in one of these for well over a month. Just me, my dog, my wife, driving around the country, and it would be totally comfortable. Yeah, there's no bathroom. You could stop at places that have those. Get yourself a gym membership that has locations all over the country, and you could stop whenever you see one, take a shower and use the facilities. But that's the reason why we'll never get this car in this country. Now, would I buy it? Would I spend $55,000 if it was offered in the United States? And I gotta say, I think I would. There are so many vehicles that are more expensive than this that I would try to turn into this. So to have something like that from the factory would be fantastic. I would love to drive around in this thing. Up front, we have a modern infotainment system. Apple CarPlay is included. It's a touchscreen. And all the controls are very familiar if you've driven a Volkswagen before. I've got everything within reach that I could possibly need. And there's a lot of space in between. There isn't like a huge console here. And the seating up front is comfortable, which is gonna be a big deal when you're taking a car like this on a road trip. And I'm upright. I feel a lot higher on the road, but it's not so high that I feel like I'm bouncing around. I still feel somewhat connected to the road, and the steering is pretty good, so that helps me remain connected as well. The modern safety features are nice, but they can be a bit annoying. So we were backing up in a parking lot and the sensors are going crazy, and the button to turn them off works fine. It's just that if you press the button to turn it off, it turns off the rear camera. That's not what I want. I just want the beeping to stop. I can see that I'm not gonna hit anything, but I need to see the camera to make sure. Another thing is the start-stop. I turned that off immediately. We were stopped at a stoplight and we were about to go, and the engine cuts out, and it took quite a bit of time to get going again. Other than that, really the worst thing about this van is that it's not offered in the United States. It's not a beast on the track or a monster off-road, but the Volkswagen California certainly has the potential to be the most memorable vehicle in your stable. This home away from home has certainly been the most comfortable camper van we've tested, and it can easily be daily driven, which is something that cannot be said about its competitors. So please, email, tweet, Facebook, and Instagram VW. If they hear from enough of us, the next 30 years might feature a California that's available stateside.